joining me as always are my good friends Kyle
Hello.
and Hunter. How you doing?
He's dead. No Hunter this episode.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me as always are my good friends Kyle
Hello.
and Hunter. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Not going to disconnect on me this time?
I don't think so. But yeah.
You here to stay?
You good?
Yeah.
You good?
Do we have contact?
Yeah, we're good, I think. But Matt, what a week, eh? What a week. This is fine.
What a week.
This is fine. I
love going into scramble mode.
I'm just gonna say one thing. I bought a Nintendo Switch OLED, and Reggie from up high, wherever he is now, he was like, praise be, Xenoblade 3. And I was like, thank you, Reggie, bless up. I appreciate this gesture of good faith. Why is it on the same week as Jedi Survivor? Why? Could you not have picked, like, the week after? We were free. We could, like, why?
And why did they shadow drop that trailer at 9 p.m.?
It was so stupid. I just woke up to
Why
Xenoblade
did the
3
DLCs
DLC.
that don't matter get more wind up to them than this one?
It's absolutely bizarre, right? And it's here next week. And I just think it was like, this is the
Hell
world
yeah.
going, hey, Ethan's already signed up to do Horizon review and a Jedi Survivor review. Let's make him do a Xenoblade one as well. This is a punishment for not writing a review for 2 years. This is what I get, apparently, is it's just like, hey,
You're gonna learn now.
3 in the week, get to work. But no, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be talking all about it obviously next week. So you make sure you tune in next week if you're a Xenoblade fan. We're gonna be talking all about it, that and Jedi Survivor in a back-to-back double bill special. They're gonna be fighting out in the ring. Which game's better? Which game is made by EA? We'll find out next week. It's gonna be a fun one. This week though, we've got a lot to talk about. I have been playing Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC. Hunter has been playing Coffee Talk 2 review copy provided by Toge Productions. And I have been playing Crash Team Rumble beta copy not provided by Activision. What the fuck, Activision? And Kyle
Has
is
existed.
Kyle. Yeah, he's good. He's just here to ask
And
us some
I'm
questions.
here too.
He's here to ask us some questions.
Hi,
It's going to be
Kyle.
fun.
Yay.
But no, I think it's interesting, right? Because this is the first time in history, Hunter. I'm looking it down. Not only is this the first time that a review is going to be live before the first impressions. So the review for Coffee Talk 2 will be up on the channel as this is recording. Fingers crossed, unless something goes terribly wrong. We're putting it up as soon as possible because we've got so many reviews coming. We were just,
yeah.
we're going to have to get them up rapid fire. But I also, as of recording, it's not out. It'll be out, I believe, either tomorrow or Wednesday on youtube.com/hotgamesonly. I've written my Forbidden West Burning Shores review as well. So this is the first time that not only have we already done the review before the first impressions, we've technically done both of them for those. So that feels kind of weird.
Yeah. The closest thing that we came to this before was when I had finished both Returnal and Resident Evil and then had to quickly make the reviews for both of them.
Yeah, it's either that or when we did the Hades review and you had already played it. And me and Kyle were the new ones.
Yeah.
Like, that's also the closest. But it's very weird, right? It's a weird feeling. So yeah, we're going to be talking all about it. Hunter's played the entirety of Coffee Talk 2. Obviously, the review's up if you want a more in-depth look. But with first impressions are more like thoughts and feelings, how we're feeling about it, how we're dealing with it. So we'll get all that. Same for Forbidden West. It's none of the flamboyant words, none of the fancy adjectives, just me spouting absolute garbage at you for roughly 20 minutes. And then we'll wrap it up with Crash Team Rumble, which definitely doesn't have a review up on youtube.com/hotgamersonly and won't have for a couple of months.
And still won't have flamboyant words.
Yeah, it definitely won't. But yeah, so we've got plenty to talk about. But hey, if you're new here, welcome on in. This is the HGO podcast. Every week we come to you and talk about everything that we love in the world of gaming. You can find us on podcast services everywhere. Just search for the HGO podcast or Hot Gamers Only, or go to youtube.com/Hot Gamers Only, where you can look at our stupid faces every single week. Reviews are going live over the next 2 weeks, roughly, give or take. There will be 4 reviews going live on youtube.com/hotgamersonly and in written form on hotgamersonly.com. I'm so glad that we decided to start doing written reviews the same time that we started dumping them out like this. It's great fun. make some fun work for us all. But they will all be up.
Yeah.
Like I said,
And
Coffee Talk
and
review
you
will already
guys are
be up.
proofreading your reviews right before they go up.
Yeah, that's basically it.
You're
We're
not
gonna
gonna
be...
pawn that off on Kyle again.
Oh no, I'm
Check
gonna have
Ethan's
to.
grammar.
Yeah, good luck with that. Actually, to be honest, I did double check this one. Like I say, the crash.
I checked it too. It looked good.
Yeah, it was fine, right? It was good. The crash,
Yeah.
because the Crash 4 one was never supposed to be a written review. It was a script in Ethan-ish, which is I know how I speak in terms of reviews, so it was completely written in mismanaged words and far too many commas.
Incomplete sentences.
Incomplete sentences, because I knew that I'd fill them in with improv. It's great form, by the way, to do that in a review, guys. It's great form. But no, this one was fine. It's good. I've just got another 2 to go after this, and the other 2 are going to be way longer than 8 hours, so wish me luck. But yeah, if like I say, for all video reviews, there is also a website counterpart. Thank you ever so much for everybody for the support on the website so far. There's also an article up that I wrote and I scheduled, and I forgot that it's went up, and I didn't tweet about it. So if you want to know about 5 indie games that are coming out this year that I want to check out eventually, that's up as well on hotgamesonly.com. Is one of them Axolotl? Yes, I am going to milk that game.
Better be.
Till the day I get it in my hands, because it looks.
Well, now that I've got Coffee Talk given
Coffee
to me
Talk was
once,
Coffee Talk
yeah.
also on there? It was on there because it came out the day before Coffee Talk was released, and I love doing that. But it is up there, so go and check that out. Check out the reviews as well. Thank you ever so much for all the feedback. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, get off the website. I know what you're doing because you didn't know about that article either.
Why would I? You didn't tweet about it.
I forgot to tweet about it. I was going to tweet about it. I forgot about it. It's my fault, not yours. People have seen it though on the website. I checked the analytics and I'm like, thank you for the couple of people that have seen it without any tweets about it. That's pretty sick.
How do I know things if it's not on twitter.com, Ethan?
I know, right?
I'm a Zoomer.
Elon's quaking in his grave. He's like, not only has he not given me his $8 a month, but he also hasn't tweeted out the link. How will I know what top 5 indie games to look forward to while I'm posting shitty memes? Ha.
And we all know Elon's a capital G gamer.
Oh, definitely, dude, definitely. And then I'm not going to make that joke. We'll move on. Anyway, Kyle, you are obviously you're kind of in the driver's seat here. So what are we talking about first? What are we talking about first?
I believe I put on the list was Horizon, a game that I very much love. All of it when I played it the first time.
You're a big fan of Horizon.
I'm the biggest Horizon Zero Dawn fan on the planet.
When we think, when the remake comes out, we know who the first person's going to be to play that one. Some say Kyle's going to review the remake because, that's just how it's going to be.
God, no one wants my review of Horizon.
Well, we'll get
Unless they really don't like Horizon and want to hear someone shit on it the whole time.
It'll be the Patreon goal.
Yeah, well, that'd be funny.
But no,
so what's this all about, Ethan? This game got some DLC. What's the dealio?
Well, Horizon has a tradition at this point to release and then sometime later have a expansion which almost feels like a missing part of the game that they added on, but in a good way, right? Not in a like, we took this out and now you get it back. It's like, hey, we've had some extra dev time. We've learned a lot since making the game. Here's just an added bit of that now that we have the expertise before we have to move on to a sequel and start everything from scratch again. That's basically what they're doing. So they've done it again 14 months after the original release of the game. Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores is now here exclusively for PlayStation 5. It is not on PS4, and I know what you're thinking, Ethan, how epic is it that it can't run on PS4? And my answer is they're trying to sell consoles now because they have stock. It could have run on PS4 very easily. If they could get the main game to run, they could have got this to run. Trust me.
I can't wait until they start selling Forbidden West complete editions on both consoles anyway, and just the PS4 version still doesn't have the DLC.
It is baffling, and I do mention it in the review where I'm like, the game is gorgeous, and Horizon Forbidden West was already gorgeous on the original release.
Sure
was on PS4.
Orange.
And dude, but it's such a good orange. Like, here's the thing, right? Is people always
There's no such thing as good orange.
Dude, there are Forbidden West's orange is good orange. The thing with Horizon is I've seen people always go, oh, it's oversaturated, there's too much color, and I'm like, yeah, because it looks good, dude. That's why they do it. I'm like, just stuff like that. It's like the first thing I noticed was where I'd saved when I booted back in. It was nighttime, and just looking up at the stars and seeing like the green of like the ambient light coming off of like the cliffs, and just seeing like these multiple colors. I'm like, this game's gorgeous. I love how this game looks. I kind of forgot how great it was. I keep thinking, I'm like, we haven't really had a true kind of next gen game other than Ratchet and Clank. But then I look at this and I'm like, no, this game looks incredible. It's more impressive that they got it to run on PS4, to be honest. I'm like, it's a great looking game. But I think the issue with these things when it comes to Horizon, these DLC passes, and it'll be interesting with Elden Ring, because I think Elden Ring's going to be kind of the antithesis of this. I feel like whereas Horizon is a small amount of content that is built into the main game, I feel like the Elden Ring DLC is basically going to be, we made another Elden Ring, but a smaller version. Fucking play it, bitch. And then everyone's like, hello, thank you, Mr. FromSoft, very cool. I feel like the Elden Ring DLC is going to be huge.
Go by, them would track.
I feel it's
that's what
the
old
huge.
Hunters was.
Yeah. But so it's interesting, right? It's been 14 months. The game's said and done. And I think when you hear and read my review, I kind of went into it going, it's been 14 months. Is it worth hopping back in? Because here's the thing. If you're new to Horizon, if you haven't played Forbidden West yet because you haven't got your hands on a PS5, and they're finally in stock now and everybody can get their hands on them, that's great. You're going to have a great time. And just buy the DLC, because it's like $20 and it's like you get a nice little epilogue to it. It's great. It's fantastic. But as someone that's like, I played this game at launch in February of 2022, is it worth me coming back, re-downloading the game, to do an end game DLC where I have to relearn the controls in the hardest difficulty and the hardest setting and try and figure it out for what is realistically 8 hours of content? And my answer is, if you love Horizon, yeah, it's worth it. But if you're on the fence, or you're like, I like Horizon, but do I need to do this because I have to? No, you don't have to. Horizon 3 will ignore this, like it ignored Frozen Wilds. There'll be a couple of references. There may be a guy that's like, hey, remember
you'll have
Frozen
an armor
Wilds?
that makes reference to it, yeah.
Yeah,
or a
there'll be a
color
couple
set,
of things.
it was.
I think there'll be a singular character that reappears in the future, because she basically makes another one of her little band of merry men. This didn't make it into the review, but I made a joke about how Guerrilla keeps trying to force new characters into Forbidden West because they just want you to forget the ones they made from Zero Dawn because they were so forgettable. They were like, yep, just replace every single one of them. Here's a new one every like 5 minutes.
I mean, to be fair, the newer characters were better in Forbidden
They
West.
were. And the new character is great, she has, her name's Seika, and she has a really good dynamic with Aloy. That's basically what this DLC is it's basically a buddy adventure, essentially. You meet her in the first mission, she's with you the entire step of the way. It's basically this kind of...
Oh, it's like a big Talana quest.
Yeah, essentially, it is a big Talana quest. It's basically just the relationship and dynamic between these two characters, which I think is interesting. I'm not obviously going to go into spoilers, but it's like, that's what you're playing it for. And it's good. It's fun. There are some little things. It's very gamey in its story. And what I mean by that is, it's like, hey, remember the 12 MacGuffins that we sorted out in the game? Well, it turns out there was actually 13, and we've got to go deal with the last one.
Of course there were 13.
Of course there was. It just kind of feels like a very tacked on kind of, we couldn't think of anything, just shove another Zenith in. If you know what a Zenith is, you know what that means. But, it's like, just shove another one in. It can't hurt, right? Yeah. And it does everything that a DLC does for a video game, right? It has just it's not very long. So they have the antagonist who is just a dick and hates everything about human life and just very easily hateable very quickly. He's, he has that LA personality of all talk, no walk, kind of like, I'm a people person, I love this, and in reality he's an absolute dickhead, and you're like, okay, I get it. You're very one note, but you do a good job at it, right? You've got Aloy, you've got Seika, and it mainly focuses on the Quen, who are a tribe that was in Forbidden West. It's another story with the other half of that tribe. And it's all very good. It's very good. And it's all high quality, because Guerrilla makes very high quality stuff. But at the same time, I couldn't help but thinking, you don't need to play this. Like, unless I love Horizon, it was great fun. But if my friend who's played Forbidden West is like, do I need to play the DLC? I'm like, how much do you like Forbidden West? Like, realistically, how much do you love Forbidden West? Do you love Forbidden West enough to play it for another 7 hours and give them $20? Is that how much you love it? Then yes, play it by all means. But this does fucking nothing in terms of new content, new gameplay mechanics. There's a couple of new robots. There's a couple of new kind of ways to play. My favorite thing, which I didn't mention in the review, was the new Sunwing variant is called a Water Wing, which is basically they're the big pterodactyls, Kyle, with this, that you can fly around on. And the Water Wing allows you to dive underwater and swim with them underwater as well. So you can just go from the air and dive into the water, and it's really cool. And I'm like, that's...
Oh, man.
I'm like, that's something. That's one of those things where someone looked at the original game and was like, you know, Sunwings would be cool. We had that big area of water between the San Francisco area and the more Midwest kind of area, and they were like, you know what would have been cool if you could have actually gone in the water with the Sunwing as you're flying, and they were like, yeah, just add it in, and it's really cool, and I like it.
That is nice, because usually regular traversal over water is not really fun. So
no, they do. They have a really cool mission where you have to kind of weave between the two of them to get to an objective, and I'm like, that's a really cool idea.
That's cool.
And I think that's like
that's one plus side to this that I can imagine, is that really, unless you went and did painstakingly everything after the main quest, you didn't really get the flight mount for a whole lot of time.
That's a big thing that I wrote about. I was like, I like how it's integrated into the game. It's as if they made the Burning Shores, they made Los Angeles in a way that they knew that you'd have this mount, so you use it all the time. You're constantly using it. And I like that because, like you say, you get it in the second to last mission in the base game. And if you're like me, I played it the same way that I played Xenoblade 3. I did every single side quest before finishing the main quest. So when I got that, there are 2 side quests that involve that Sunwing. So I used it twice. And never again.
Well,
and I was like,
spoiled that you were gonna get it too.
Yeah.
That was the worst part.
Because I think there was, I don't know if it was, I still don't ever know if it was a glitch or not, where it showed up halfway through the game, and it was like, that was so weird. I don't know why they did that, but you know, that's like my main pro of it. I really like the area of Los Angeles, but I can't help feel that it's extremely barren. The Frozen Wilds was a very small area, but it felt very dense because, you know, you had hunting ranges, you had a hunting range, you had a cauldron, you had everything all in a very small area. Whereas the area is roughly about a third of the size of Forbidden West. I like to say it's more of a quarter, if that, because of all the water. A lot of it is water, so it's like, it's not really a third of the map. It's a third if you include the water that you're never going to really touch. Let's be real here. So it's like, it's a quarter of the map, and it feels very barren. There's a singular cauldron. There's not a tall neck in sight. There is no tall neck. There is one of the ruins that gives you the orbs that you can take back to Las Vegas. So there's one of those. There's 3 side quests.
My favorite character.
Las Vegas, my favorite character. There's like one of everything, and there's a couple of collectibles. It feels very barren, and I'm like, it's interesting because I was like, oh, are there a load of new robots? No, there's 4, and they're good. I like them. They're all very interesting. I feel like in Forbidden West there were quite a few that were forgettable, whereas these 4, you're like,
or annoying.
Yeah, there's like some that I like. There's the bile. What is the bile? I can't remember it's the bile gut. That's it. The bile gut, which is like the frog, and it like jumps around and it spews poison everywhere. And the thing that I love is they've also got sting storms, which are basically flies that go around everywhere. And you think, oh, you know, frogs kind of eat flies, and it's like the antithesis of that, where the frog can spawn flies in some areas, and you're like, I just like how that's
spitting them up. That's cool.
Yeah, they kind of take the idea of like that, and I'm like, that's cool, you know, because they're always around each other. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I like that quite a bit. It's like I say, there's some good stuff here, and it feels like they've taken the lessons that they've learned from it. There's just not much of it. So it's like, it's kind of, like I say, I played it for 8 hours, and I did everything bar collect the 16 collectibles. And I mean that total, that is 16 total collectibles. There are 16 things in that area. And it's like, that's it. 5 main missions, 3 side quests.
To challenge to Machine Strike.
There isn't a Machine Strike player.
I was joking.
Yeah, there is no Machine Strike player. And the most interesting thing, there's no hunting ground. Which I'm like,
what?
That feels weird to me. There's always a
That
hunting
is
ground.
weird. You said
No
there were
hunting
like
ground.
4 robots. That's enough for a hunting ground.
Two of them are used in the cauldron. The other one's is the water wing, so it's very similar to the sun wing. And the fourth one, which is why I think this is a cheese, is the final boss. Is the fourth one. So it's just a set piece. It's not even really a real robot that you can fight often.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is what it is. And I don't want to feel like I'm a downer because, like I say, visually stunning. It's a fun time. It's more Horizon Forbidden West. I loved Horizon Forbidden West. It was in like my top 3 games of last year. I really liked it. But after 14 months, it's one of those things where I'm like, if you're going to do an expansion 14 months later, I feel like it's a certain time where I'm like, if this came out 5 months later, I'd be like, yeah, cool. That's fine. A little bit of extra thing. Cool. But, it's like how we've got the Xenoblade 3 DLC coming out next week. And it's like, if you wait a longer period of time for Xenoblade, well, don't get me wrong, that's 9 months. That's because Xenoblade 3 was done like a year before it came out, right? So they had extra time.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're waiting a year and a half, like with Elden Ring, I feel like, yeah, it's a good 8 hours, but also I think it's more for people to get more new people in than it is for me, because it's like, I get a cool little bit of Aloy for 7 hours and I'm done again and I uninstall it and I'm gone. It's good. I liked it. It's a fun time. If you love Horizon, you're going to like it. Go and play it. But also, I don't know if it's Horizon overexposure. I don't know what it is, but I feel like with the VR game and this coming out, I'm like, this is a lot of Horizon after Forbidden West, and none of it kind of feels substantial in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, I liked what they did here. There's some interesting stuff, especially with characters and character development, and there's some stuff that people may have seen on Twitter that may or may not be a spoiler. But it's like, people are like shocked at this revelation, by the way. And I was sitting there going, whatever they thought, I was like, I thought that was already canon, and I'm late to the party here. I'm like, oh, I thought that was already canon. Anyway, shows what I know. But it's
Erend is part centaur.
It's true. I didn't want to spoil it, but you guessed it.
Aloy's actually also a robot dinosaur.
It's true.
Would be pretty cool.
That would be
Speaking of
cool.
Transformers, she just exactly just transforms into it. But no, it's like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know this took it definitely didn't take dev time away from Horizon 3, because that's not how video games work, ladies and gentlemen. Them spending 9 months on this did not mean that Horizon 3 was pushed down the line for 9 months. That's not how video games work. DLC is planned months before the original game's even released. So this isn't how that works. But I couldn't help but feeling, I'm like, it's a nice little hop, but I also I didn't need it. I could have very easily have waited for the third one, and would have had, if that meant that we could have had an extra 8 hours in Horizon 3, I would have took those 8 hours in Horizon 3, because there would have probably been more character development that was substantial
or even if this was or if it was just here at the start
in the base game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or delay the game 9 months, 14 months,
to be honest, because I'm not necessarily saying they should have done that, but
I'm not either.
It sounds like this story, because of the way that the base game ends, it seems like having an extra chapter might have actually helped, and as a come down thing even.
And it does, it kind of acts like an epilogue, and I think it's fine with that, where it acknowledges Nemesis, it acknowledges what happened, but it's not sitting there going, hey, time for 5 hours of it. It's not. It's just, Sans is like, Nemesis is a threat, and there's another MacGuffin over in Los Angeles. Off you go, and off you go. And that's about it, right? That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
It's fine. I think it's as solid as the rest of the game. It's not worse in any way, shape, or form. I just don't think it's
definitely not
substantial.
As bad as the opening 2 hours.
Definitely not as bad as the opening 2 hours. Definitely not. But it's fun. You should play it if you like Horizon.
The word you're looking for is serviceable.
Yeah, it's serviceable. But I feel like it's one of those things that's like when you're reviewing an expansion, it's like, unless it does something terribly bad, it's like, I have a load of gripes with it. I don't think it's substantial in the slightest. But also, the quality is still there, where it is still I don't want to say my score because it's not technically out yet, but it's still in the same caliber as the original game.
Yeah, like if I was reviewing it and if I had reviewed the other game, it'd be like it would have to be substantially worse to be like knocked lower by any kind of dramatic thing. Well, unless like I was gonna give Forbidden West must play, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm not gonna say that about this DLC, probably, you know.
Yeah.
But
no, definitely. So no, I liked it. It was good. It's just, it very much feels like an OVA. It feels like a beach episode. Is how I would describe it. Literally, there's plenty of beaches. So,
well, yeah, it's been long enough in that time that, you know, LA's probably actually been reclaimed by the ocean. So
it has all been reclaimed by the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's bound to happen eventually.
Exactly. But no, I had a fun time. But set your expectations when you play it is what I would say. So yeah, that's all I have to say really. It is out
good
now.
job.
Thank you.
You said you'd talk for 20 minutes, and you did.
I'm always consistent, you know me.
Anyways, Hunter, Coffee Talk 2 came out this week. A sequel to a game that you enjoyed that I've never heard of.
I also enjoyed
I talked about it on the show.
I mean, I've heard of it after you talked about it.
Okay. I thought you were saying you somehow still didn't hear about it. I'm like, I spoke it.
Look, dude, I might forget what happened in these episodes, but I remember you talking about this game.
Not only has he talked about it,
I don't remember the details.
Yeah, Ethan,
but you sure did talk
also
about
likes it. So
I did play it last year.
Yeah,
wow,
it's on my PlayStation. It's next.
Yeah, woo. Yeah, but Coffee Talk 2, you know,
Hang
I
on.
played
Review copy provided. Review copy provided.
Yeah.
FTC,
Review
please
copy
leave us the fuck alone.
provided by Toge Productions. Thank you.
Which is epic. Thank you,
Very cool.
Toge. I feel like I'm gonna, if that game is ever released physically, I will buy a physical copy.
It's being released physically. I have it pre-ordered.
I should probably pre-order that. I feel like I should make like a display, like a picture frame or something of like the first 5 games that gave us review copies, and Hades will be there, and now Coffee Talk 2. Hey, Activision, you want to be on that list? Give me Crash Team Rumble, baby. I already own it, but give me another one. Just saying, you know? Thank you. Appreciate it. But no, thank you, Toge Productions, seriously. It's awesome when people take a chance on smaller creators, and we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it was neat. Anyway, it's been about a year since I played the first game, and I feel like that was a pretty perfect amount of time for the gap between my playing of these two games, because I started this up and I'm like, this is nice. It just immediately had, like, the game's built on the whole creating just a kind of comfortable environment for you to, you know, experience this neat little story in, and it does that really well. They introduce a couple of new characters. Oh man.
The lights.
The hell was that?
What happened?
I don't know.
It's Activision. They're in your walls.
Oh no.
Back off. We'll talk about Rumble later, please. God, that was scary. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, we ruined the chill vibe. I was gonna look up my article that no one knew about, but yeah, that's literally basically like, the second line of it is you just can't beat the vibes of a coffee shop on a rainy Seattle night, because it is a mood. Like the lo-fi music, the kind of, you know, just the kind of midnight kind of calming ambience of it. That you just feel it, you know. It's like I liked Coffee Talk 1 a lot. It wasn't like I wasn't sitting there going, "Oh, I can't wait to brew this coffee." I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. It's just living.
Yeah, that's completely
world.
secondary to just
it's just living in that world.
Experience of being there, and I liked all the characters in the first game, so seeing most of them again was really cool. I'm like, oh, I'm happy to see you.
Yeah,
and all that. Like, yeah, there wasn't a single one that showed up that I'm like, oh, you're I can't believe I have to talk to Ota again, kind of thing, you know. So yeah, it was nice to, you know, they touch on all of that, all of those kind of story threads that, you know, they ended on there. You have a natural kind of picking up point for all of the ones that make sense to do that. Some of the returning characters go in different directions as far as, you know, they didn't some of those in the first game, the ones that get their new directions are more like they were kind of the additive characters to the more important stories in the initial game. So it's cool to see them get a bit more of their own focus here. The two new characters are Riona, this cool banshee lady. She's got a sick hairstyle with the cool blue hair. She looks kind of like a night elf from Warcraft in a way, but her design's really cool. And then Lucas is a satyr who is like a, I don't know, YouTuber or what thereabouts, the coffee talk equivalent of a YouTuber.
Are you YouTuber? Yes, I am. I'm also a weird devil boy thing. Why is he?
He's a satyr. That's
a satyr.
Greek mythology. They're like the goat.
Oh yeah,
people.
They play bagpipes in Spyro.
Yeah.
I got you, buddy. I got you.
Yeah, so they're both fun. It's nice to have them around too. They add a fun little dynamic as far as their interactions with other people. It's cool to have some of them or have them in their own ways be kind of baselines for seeing where the returning characters are at in their life, giving advice to them and stuff. Now, it's real cool that way. Gameplay is about the same, which is fine because, like I said already, that's secondary to just existing in the world and experiencing the story. They added 2 new ingredients, which is the titular hibiscus tea and the butterfly tea. The red, yeah.
That's where the name came from.
yeah, which is, it's very amusing that it's called Coffee Talk, and then the second game is named after the 2 new teas.
Yeah.
But, who cares? It's still a cool name.
Yeah.
All of them look pretty cool. The Star was like, when you actually succeed at making the drinks, they all look very striking visually. It's nice.
But no, it's like I say, it's very much a kind of comfy vibe of a game. Really, it's not very long. Both of them don't seem to be too long, and it's just it's getting to know these characters, and you kind of. It almost has that kind of Persona kind of essence to it, where you kind of fill in the role. You kind of take that role of the barista in the world, and you deal with people in the same way you would deal with them. In you're just listening to people's problems and trying to not necessarily tell them the solutions, but guide them through guide them through what's ailing them and try and come to some kind of rational conclusion. It's basically a listening simulator. It's not even like a talking sim. It is literally a listening sim where it's not like Persona where your guy says nothing really. It is very much like you're saying stuff. It's just you're just listening.
The barista will say stuff. It's just mostly in response to the other characters.
It's contextual, right? Yeah. It's very much
which is cool because not only are every combination of interaction that you get in this game is pretty fun to witness. There's no one that I was like, I wish you would go away, or I think I'm seeing you too much, or anything like that. And there was no situation where it's like, I don't think these two are very good on the screen together here. There was no situation like that. And also when it comes down to the couple times that, last person in the shop still chats with the barista for a little bit, those conversations are pretty good too.
I think that, to me especially, is one of those interesting kind of games in that regard, whereas you see a lot of video games is, you have a lot of one-on-one conversations or group conversations, or you'll have a one-on-one conversation where someone else then joins the conversation and then it ends. I feel like Coffee Talk has this really natural flow to it, where in the same way that you would in life, where if you went to a coffee shop and people were talking, you'd have your first customer and then a couple of people might show up, a couple then might leave, and halfway through a conversation,
a lot of times
someone else might come
through the
in.
door, they're mid-conversation too, and stuff like that.
So it's like you're not. It has that kind of balance of like a natural conversation when everybody else is left bar one person. It's not everyone's not always dispersing at the same time. Not everyone's it very much feels natural in the comings and goings, and not everybody's always clued in the entirety of the conversation. And it's it feels very natural in that way, and I feel like that's why I like it. It's very much just kind of a late night chat, and I just kind of like that. It's like if you've ever had those conversations with friends at 2 a.m. where you just go on the most absolutely stupid tangents, right? Where you don't know where you're
Yeah.
possibly going. It's like that, but in a more nuanced and more subtle way, and the conversations are more engaging than whatever you talk about at 2 a.m. with your friends. I don't judge, but you know, they are some crazy, there's some crazy stuff that is said sometimes. I just find it really engaging. It's a very
Yeah,
interesting kind of concept. I like it quite a bit.
for sure. And like, I think its brevity helps it as far as being shorter. I know I've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned before Valhalla, the other game that's like this in the cyberpunk setting and all that. That one's a little longer, and it definitely ran into the issue where there were characters in that one that I felt like I was seeing too much or could do without entirely. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's that. As far as the new game, characters have a few new sprites. As far as they're just more expressive in general, so that's cool. Like one of the first things that happens is there's constant thunderstorms for like the first week. So you'll see like your first couple of customers there get all spooked when thunder cracks all ominously.
Mm.
A couple of times there. They've also got these scenes where it'll like I guess the best way I came up with describing it's like kind of like comic book paneling. Not like it doesn't really look like a comic book. It's got kind of got like the characters each get their own little segment of the screen,
Mm-hmm.
and it just adds a bit of gravitas to the scene since every other interaction you're looking at there is just the static characters behind on the other end of the bar there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I just there's something like obviously because you had the passing of one of the creators, right, for the original, and it was like
Oh yeah,
I remember
yeah,
after playing it, I was kind of sad because I was like, oh man, I really enjoyed that. That could be like it's an interesting game where they're super cheap. It's like $15 for like this game, right? Or it's on Game
yeah.
Pass if you are so inclined. I didn't realize it was on Game Pass and I bought it, and even after I bought it, I was like, I don't care. I'm happy I bought it anyway because
Yeah, I got the free
$15 it's all
code
good.
and then I bought it for a friend
Hell yeah.
with the money I was going to spend on buying it anyway.
Hell yeah, pay it forward. Um, but it's like one of those things where it's just like when he passes, like that sucks because I didn't think we'd get any more of it. And as we are, I'm like, I kind of like the legacy of it's going on, and it's like it's a 2 hour game, and the first one came out in 2020, this one's 2022. It's like I like that it's like it's carrying on. You see the characters move on in life. I feel like it's just a nice little comfy series to be honest, and I'm like I
Yeah, and
enjoy
like
it quite a bit.
yeah, calling it episode 2, like usually that would if any other game would call itself episode 2 as like a second full entry, I'd be like, weird. But the way that the stories work in these two games, it makes a lot of sense to call it that because it is literally you're just observing people for a chapter of their life for a little bit, and then they go do their thing and they'll be back again some other time. Cool
Yeah.
stuff.
I like it quite a bit, and it's like I say, it's available everywhere, which is nice. It's
Yeah.
on Game Pass, it's on PlayStation, it's on PC, it's on Nintendo Switch. And I've realized that the physical is also going to Nintendo Switch as well,
Yeah.
and that might be where I get it
Mm.
because I already own it on PlayStation and it's on Game Pass. Why not own it? Why not get that 3P? Why
Yeah,
not?
it's cool because on top of the physical for the second game, they're also just doing the first game's getting its physical version too. So
There's
I
a double
forget.
pack as well.
Yeah, there's a double pack. There's like a collector
Yeah.
thing. There was a whole bunch of stuff. I had to sort through and be like, okay, I kind of just want the games here, or the games and whatever things are giving me for game price here. because it was like a $15 game. Typically, when devs are making a physical version of something, they tend to throw you extra goodies anyway, even if it's
Oh
on
yeah, like a
special
manual and all kinds of jazz.
collector edition. I don't know where it went, but Spiritfarer, when I bought that, it gave me a postcard. That's cool. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. So yeah, go
Yeah,
check it
I'll
out if you
probably
haven't.
play it again when I do get it physically. That's like one of the things I spent like a few minutes being like, oh, I made you the wrong drink, and I was like reloading it because I couldn't figure out what they wanted. because it was one of those vague orders where it's like, I just want something with mint or whatever, and then it could be literally anything.
Yeah.
I'd have to figure it out off the other two things off of whatever, and it's like, I wanted something else. I'm like, why don't you tell me?
No, I don't want
So I
that.
kept reloading. I'm like, why am I being all bent out of shape about this? I'm getting the game again later this year, and I'm probably gonna play it again. And then I'll be able to. I'll have the benefit of just looking it up. Then
Hell yeah.
can't do
Oh,
that. Can't do that when you're playing early.
That's my thing. That's
Yeah.
the one thing with review copies, man, is like, well, I can't go to Google. I have to be my own Google and figure this out. I have to populate Google. No, this isn't fun.
I was able to be like, because sometimes they would ask you for drinks that were, just things in the other game too. The only things that are like brand new as far as combinations are the hibiscus and butterfly teas. So anything else they're asking you for is you could reasonably assume was in the other game. So I did end up Googling what's the combination to get the Russian tea or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good game. I highly recommend it. And the other one, if you like these kind of story-driven adventures things.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, get on it.
But is it as good as Game of the Year Crash Team Rumble?
Fuck no.
Ethan. Ethan, you have been hyping this game up, and this weekend, they released a beta for people to play.
For me to play, it was just me. At one point, it was just me. For one point, it was just me.
All right. So now that you've gotten the game in your hands, is it still Game of the Year? Game of the decade?
Fucking ass, dude. No, it's good.
Game of all time?
It's right.
One of the video games.
It is a video game.
Ever.
It is a video game of ever. I will give you that. It's an
ever.
interesting one, right? My opinion on Crash Team Rumble is I still don't know who it's made for, and in that regard, I don't mean that in terms of a game perspective where I'm like, okay, like what's the point of this existing? I think it's a fun game. I've had quite a fun time with it. I just don't understand who it's for in terms of why is it $30? What's this? Like, how much content's going to be in the game? Why are we being particularly quiet about that kind of stuff, especially when it's 2 months away from release? And those are the things that are trying to go into my head.
Why won't they tell me if my stuff will carry over to the full game?
Yeah, and it's like, it's weird because my baseline is this, is the base game is really fun. I like it quite a bit. It's a fun time. I just don't know how much content's in it, so that's why I'm concerned. And I don't understand what Activision's doing, because it's a hard game to advertise, because no one knows, you don't really know what it is until you play it, really.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I just feel like they're just not giving enough information out. Usually, when we've talked about this before with Spyro and the Crash remakes, they were showing too much. They showed almost every level from Spyro pre-release, and they showed every level of the Insane Trilogy pre-release, and they showed a lot of Crash 4. And this game, they've shown 3 fucking stages and gone, salut, and here are the 5 characters that you played as in Crash 4 in the beta. And no Cat-Bat, no Embryo, no
Trophy.
Entropy, the 3 that have also been announced. I'm like, it's very weird. I don't get the strategy that they're going for here. But in terms of the actual video game itself, I'm pleasantly surprised at how it plays. To be honest, it's quite fun. I played it for the entire length of Forbidden West in a row. Wow, what a riot! I played it for like 4 hours.
I was gonna say, do you mean Burning Shores? Because all of Forbidden West would be I would have
60
to
hours of Crash Team Rumble all weekend. No, I played it for about 4 hours, and I like it quite a bit. It's very fun. I would class it as it's a 4v4. I classify it as a 4v4 platformer brawler, and what I mean by that is it's essentially when they say it's not a MOBA, it's very MOBA-ish, right? You go out into the field, you collect your Wumpa fruit, you bank them. You go back out, you bank them, you fight people to get rid of their Wumper, you go to their base to fuck with them a bit, you go back and bank. It very much is...
That summary, and from my own observations, like, from the start, to me, it looked like that Fall Guys minigame.
Egg Scramble?
Yeah, or one of those. Does it feel any more than that?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
And I think for the first hour or two, I was like, this is fun, this is stupid. Look at how you can play Dingo Dial and sit in someone's enemy spawn and be a dick the whole game and watch as you win very slowly and get 2,000 Wumper and they get 0 because you're a dickhead and you're just sitting in their spawn and you just don't know how to deal, right? And then I started playing it again. I started swapping characters, and then I was not having fun because I didn't really get it. But as soon as the roles kind of click and you understand what you're doing, that's when it becomes really fun. You can't kind of look at it like a Fall Guys minigame. If it was a Fall Guys minigame, you would just be like, everyone's running to the boxes, going back, running to the boxes, going back. And that's it. Fastest person wins, basically, if you're playing Fall Guys. But with the different classes, you've got to play differently, right? So it's like, as a defender, like in Dingo Dial, you've got to go and be that dickhead that goes to the enemy's basket in Fall Guys and starts chucking the eggs out. You've got to go and do that. You've got to go and bully, right?
It's very amusing that role is the defender, since that's the one that's most up in the Kool-Aid of the other team.
Yeah, I think that Toys for Bob was kind of thinking, yeah. Well, I think they're called brawlers in the game, I believe. They're not called defenders. They are called brawlers. But I do believe that in their head, they were like, yes, this person's going to stay on your base, and then when people come for your grill, you beat them up. And that's not happening. It's just, they just become the toxic people that sit in each other's bases, right? The collectors, I don't remember what they're called, but the people that go and get the Wumper Fruit, your Crashers, your Tauners, their kind of objective is... it's almost kind of like it's the generic class where you are going around and getting boxes, but you're doing everything. You're doing a bit of everything.
Pretty much.
You're attacking, you're going for gems. And the kind of the booster, which is the rank that no one really understood, and you're like, these are kind of crap, like the Coco and the Cortexes. They're actually really fun to play, which is a shame because you get the least amount of XP for playing them. But their kind of goal is to kind of be the 5 heads. They're the big brains. They're the playmakers, right? Because along the map you have your Wumper Fruit. You also have relics, and relics activate pads around the map. And there's one main pad in the middle that has a big kind of game changer event, an ultimate kind of like Uka Uka spawning on. If you get it, everybody has an Uka Uka mask, and you can go around abusing the rest of the team for going quickly, right? And as a booster, it's your job to grab these relics and kind of be the playmaker, make the plays, activate the beach ball power up so that all of your team can then go and run off and do that kind of thing. It's all about running. There's these gem pads that if you collect all the gem pads and they activate, you get a percentage boost to your Wumper. So it's like you're kind of the playmaker in that scenario. You kind of lead the charge as the booster, and I think it's really fun.
Players, essentially.
I think
simplify it.
Yeah. I think what kind of the fun thing about it is it almost feels like it's a 6v6 video game and they've only given you 4 players. And what I mean by that is there's enough stuff going on where you could theoretically have 2 brawlers, 2 Wumper collectors, and 2 boosters, and then it would play a lot more kind of... it play a lot more linearly, where it's like, okay, your boosters we will cover the gems and the relics, and the attackers will go and do that, and Wumper Fruit people will go and play on the defensive slightly. And it's like, because there's only 4 people, and a lot of the time it doesn't matter. You don't need to have a booster, you don't need to have a defender, right? It almost feels like it's like, we have enough things here that could be done by 6 people and we've only got 4. What the fuck are we going to do here? And it kind of builds on that chaos, and I think it works rather well. I think the problem with this game is it's really hard to advertise and market it without playing, because you just look at it and you're like, what the hell is happening? It just looks like people are mindlessly running around whacking each other in the head. And it's like, from a viewer perspective, I don't think it's that engaging, which I think is a fundamental problem for a multiplayer game, where you're trying to encourage people to go out and play it. It's really fun to play, though. I think the other problem with it is it feels incredibly cheap, and that's not on Toys for Bob's fault. There's a lot of creativity and passion in it. It's just there's no original music. There's one song in the entire game that is new, and that's the Crash Team Rumble theme. Basically, the lobby music's new, and there's a like a sportsy version of the Crash Bandicoot theme, which is the new Crash Team Rumble theme. Everything else, all the maps are based off of
voices.
Crash. Yeah, all the stages are based off Crash 4 stages so far. So they've all got Crash 4 music or NST music. There's only Crash 4 and NST music right now. My real hope is that we get to Season 1 and they pull out the other library. I'm hoping there are references to stuff that isn't just NST and Crash 4. There's not even CTR music at the moment in the game. It is just NST and Crash 4. It just feels rather cheap. One of my biggest gripes is there's a level called Just Beachy and the lighting is horrendous. It looks pre-baked. It does not look like a beach at all. It looks like it's an overclouded day, but you look up at the sky and it's bright blue, and it's stuff like that where I'm like, it feels extremely rough in terms of its presentation. In terms of party systems and stuff like that, when you back out of a game, your friend also has to back out, and then it kicks you both out of your lobby, and you have to rejoin.
Oh no!
Little bits and pieces like that, where the actual game is really fun, and I think based on the number of characters, based on the number of maps at launch, I think there'll be a lot of variety there, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's keeping that momentum, and also I don't know, like I said it on Twitter, with how kind of volatile the games as a service kind of industry has been in the past year. Think about the number of games as a service games that died in January alone, right? Yeah. You had about 6 of them die. It's kind of crazy, right? You don't know what's gonna happen at all. I don't really know how long this game will have in terms of longevity and in terms of a lifespan. Do I think that every game needs to live forever? No. But also, there's this counterbalance where this is the game. This is it. Once the game dies, that's it. Goodbye. And it's not free to play. You can bitch all you want about Rumbleverse going down. Rumbleverse, you may have paid money for microtransactions or for a Founders Edition, but you could have got in for free. And this is the thing where it's like, why? I don't understand why this isn't free to play. And
yeah, you would think that, especially since you say that it's hard to convey it by just looking at it, and
at least the beta. It's baffling to me that the beta isn't a come one, come all, everybody in.
Yeah, that's super screwed up to me.
Yeah.
I understand that Activision has done it before, where you have had to buy the game to get access to the beta. They've done it for Call of Duty for as long as I can remember. They've done it for Overwatch 2. But those games already have built-in audiences. Crash Team Rumble doesn't. And for the most part, a lot of people that have played it have been pleasantly surprised and like it.
You can look at an Overwatch and a Call of Duty and understand what those games are about. But like you said, with Rumble, it's just a lot harder to convey by just looking at it.
And the thing is, it is fun. That's the thing, is it is fun. And it's going to be interesting to see how this game's received. I don't know what the game's going to be received like. I think it's a blast. I'm having a lot of fun. Based on the amount of content, though, I think that's where it's going to lie. There's 5 characters in the beta. My hope is there's at least 10 characters in the main game. I am not confident on that. We have 8 announced. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just those 8. Then I'd be slightly concerned.
You think there's a chance that the 3 maps that you have are they gonna have more than just that?
They will definitely have more than 3, but I think they need at least 10. That would be my guess. And it's like, we don't know how much stuff is actually in this game. I hope it's a lot, but also it might not be. So who knows? Who knows? But I'm having fun. It's a good game. I do enjoy playing it. It hasn't put me off the full release. I'm still going to play it at release. I'm still intending to have a good time with it. The game's fun, and Toys for Bob are having a lot of fun with it, my favorite part about it is I don't know if you guys have seen it. The fun facts on the load screens are all completely.
Oh, I saw something like that.
Yeah, they've done
I
a load of
forget.
fun facts, and they are all absolute nonsense. You can tell that they probably just had like a group chat or whatever in the team or whatever, which is like, hey guys, just come up with some funny things that we can put. They just went in the Slack and just had a field day, right?
Yeah.
Like let me just look at some of them. It was like did Toys for Bob start making Crash 4 or Crash Team Rumble first? We've forgotten, to be honest. It's just like stuff like that where it's like everyone knows that
That's
this game's
funny.
been in dev hell. You know, and it's
Crash
just
Team
like
Rumble was the worst kept secret
yeah,
or something like that.
Oh,
if
that's
you
the one
stay
I saw. Yeah.
if you stay out of combat for a while, you'll heal up automagically, is one of them, which I like. Dr. Neocortex has never taken a shower ever in his life. That's just one that they were like, yeah, why not? When a match is won by just one Wumper, players on the winning team are guaranteed good luck for 10 days. That's a fun fact for you. There you go. Fun fact, Dr. Neocortex can drop a piano on his enemies. Weird? No. Follow the clues. There are no coincidences. Just like stuff like that, where it's just like, you know, they've obviously had a lot of fun with these kind of things. And it's like, I love Toys for Bob because again, they're like this little beacon of hope for me inside of Activision where there's still some personality and fun allowed. And I just hope that they're allowed to keep on making stuff. That's my hope. Because it's fun. Do I think it's going to score high, Kyle? No. I'm still pretty confident it'll be in the 70s.
Flat 70. Let's
No,
go.
I think it'll be higher than 70.
Ah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's based on solely on content at this point. We shall see.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. I'm having fun. It's a weird game, man. It's a weird game. If you were to ask me, and this is I know they started development of it at the same time as Crash 4, and it was intended to be a Crash 4 multiplayer mode. Here is I don't know if it's a hot take, because people always say that Crash 4 was too expensive for what it was. Especially in the UK, it was £60 in the UK. For some reason.
It was too expensive. There's reasons, there's statements like that made them feel the need to make the game like 1 million hours long too.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the perfect balance was if it was a $60 game or it was a $70 game and it had this in it as well. I feel like that would have been a proposition where I was like, oh, okay, I understand now. Like I feel like that would have quenched a lot of people's fears. And I think that was originally the intent, was this to be a DLC for Crash 4, but it just took too long to develop, I think. But it's fun. I like it. Just follow through with some actual content.
Yeah.
And if not, make Spyro 4, please. Just do it. Before you die.
Please.
Before you go, please.
There's the copium.
That's
the Spyro copium.
Also, bring it to Switch and PC.
This.
Why the hell is it not on Switch and PC? Weird. Sorry, Cal.
PC, that's weird.
I was just gonna say, I will say that I kind of wished I could have gotten to play this beta with you and Sam, because just watching you two play it, I'm like, man, this looks like it would be enjoyable for the 4 hours I was watching you two play.
Kyle talking all that smack, and suddenly he's Squidward looking out the window now.
If they were smart,
like, there's a difference between wanting to play the Game Hunter and like wanting to actually own it and just wanting to try it.
If they were smart, and I still think there's a small chance of this happening, I think for the final 48 hours they should swap it to fully open. They have done it before with other betas in terms of Call of Duty and Overwatch. They have done it where they've left it for a certain period and then gone, hey guys, everyone else can hop in now. I think it'd be a smart move, to be honest. Get more people's eyes on it. Because 70% of people that have played it turned out to like it quite a bit. So, hey, it's all good. Anyway, with all that, that's our show, everybody, I guess. It's a short one this week. I'm surprised. Don't worry, we'll make up for it next week.
Hell yeah.
There's Xenoblade to talk about, which means it's going to
Can't
be
wait.
at least an hour and 15 minutes on that.
Yep, a Xenoblade and a mainline AAA game in terms of Star Wars, so we got plenty to talk about next week. It's going to be a big boy, I think. But hey, it's all fun. I'm glad that it's short actually, because like I said, I'm pretty busy this weekend, so it works for me. Less time rendering. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I got a
You're
review
welcome,
to make.
future Ethan.
Yeah, we got a review out. There'll be another review out this week as well, and there won't be another one out by the end of the week, but the following week there'll at least be one. It's crazy. Anyway, our links are on screen right now. If you want to go and follow us on Twitter, or if you're on a podcast, you can go and check the podcast description. Not the video description. We do not do video podcasts on Spotify or anything like that. I've been thinking about it, but then I'm like, that's another version of this damn show I've got to edit.
There's no reason to.
It's currently not on the cards.
People who go to Spotify go to listen. I don't think they're going to watch. I think they
That's
just
what
go to
you
YouTube for
think.
that.
Mate.
I think that's just something you don't need to worry about.
Yeah, I'm good. But if you do want to look at our stupid faces, go to youtube.com/hotgamers only. And yeah, check out the website as well, hotgamesonly.com. Anyway, that has been our show, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, go read Ethan's article.
It's great.
Let him know if there's any grammar mistakes.
Maybe.
Because I didn't proofread it because I didn't know what was happening.
I also don't think there will be too many mistakes in it, because most of them are very small paragraphs, so you know.
Yeah,
they're not big words. It's all good. But anyway, thank you ever so much for listening and watching this week, guys. We'll be back next week for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Will we have it all 155 gigabytes installed by the time the podcast starts?
Oh my god, we
Who
forgot
knows?
to talk about that. I'm gonna need to rent a vacation home to have space to play this game.
Yeah, that's the other factor, right? It's like, if I have a chance to play one of them next week, one of them is going to be like 3 gigs, and the other one is going to be like 150.
Play Xenoblade while Star Wars installs.
At least they're not competing for space on the
See
same
which one finishes
console.
first.
We'll see. Anyway, thank you ever so much for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week for all of that jazz. But until then, have an awesome week, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.